welcome everybody. As Winston said, I'm Karin Tischler, and I'm here today not to inspire you. I'm here to make you believe. Believe that what you set your mission to do, you can do. Now, in Canada and around the world, there is a labor shortage of skilled professionals. But when you look around, you see many mathematicians, psychologists, economists, knowledge workers, scientists, and many more. But you wouldn't find them under their professional name any longer because they are not now much more commonly known as stay-at-home mothers, stay-at-home dads, or simply unpaid care workers. And I know that because I was a stay-at-home mom myself for 11 years. And they are trying to return back to the paid workforce, but they are struggling. But let's start at the beginning. I am German, as you can hear. So I did my high school in Germany, and then I did many things that other people might find courageous. For example, I wanted to improve my English, so I decided to become a nanny in England. And I ended up studying there, and I got my master's from the University of Oxford. And then after that, I traveled and lived in 3 countries, in Mexico, Belize, and Guatemala. I traveled there by myself. And finally, I worked and lived in 4 different countries around the world. But I found all of that really exciting and energizing. But then one day, everything changed. I got the most challenging job ever. I became a mom. And what happened was, here I was given the infant, and as you know, there is no manual. So while I was recovering from my C-section, I was trying to figure out how to breastfeed, how to pump, and it was really, really hard. But what I ended up doing, I was staying at home for 11 years, but what I realized was that while it was many days that were the most physically and emotionally challenging days for me, at the same time as the most rewarding days, there was nothing really at the end of the day I could show for. There was no PowerPoint presentation I had, no product I created. If I was lucky, I had children that were fed and hopefully clean and maybe happy. And so I grew up like the typical sort of goody two-shoe girl. Get good grades, get into a good university, get a good job. So it was all very externally focused. And all of a sudden, here I was having to create my own job review. I was learning all these skills, but I was basically, society felt I was on vacation. And so it was really, really difficult. And what happened then was when I met with former colleagues and family, and we were, gathering, it became more and more divergence because they were climbing up the career ladder. And in my case, it was sort of hard to explain, well, I'm using my competitive intelligence skills to find the best online classes for homeschooling. Or I learned how to negotiate because my 3-year-old was insistent that no, he did not need to go with me in this car ride right now. So, and the other thing I realized, I was learning so many skills, transferable business and soft skills. But at this point, there aren't many organizations that truly see the benefit of these skills. Although the World Economic Forum recently had a report pointing out that soft skills are one of the most important skills in the future. So I have hope. And so what happened then? I got the opportunity to return to the professional work as a researcher. But I kept on hearing people talking about that they really were struggling to go back to the paid workforce. And as research is my passion and background, I decided, okay, I'm going to do some global best practice to better understand what is out there. And I discovered that it's actually in Germany and in Europe that there are already best practices out there for flexible work opportunities, such as job sharing or top sharing, which is executives sharing a position, or part-time professional careers. And often these are exactly the reasons why professionals leave the paid workforce, because they are struggling with the work-life balance. And it is one of the biggest barriers to re-entry as well. So all of a sudden I realized I'm in this unique position. Here I am, German, in Canada. I have a research background. I feel very passionate about stay-at-home professionals because I was one of them. And I still feel that pretty much society does not acknowledge the work that is being done as an unpaid care worker. So I decided I'm going to become a global advocate for professionals going back to the paid workforce. And I have a goal. In 2022, I want to talk at the Women Deliver conference, the next one, and I would like to talk about all the positive changes that have happened for professionals going back to the paid workforce. Thank you. But I'm a researcher at heart, and I realized that doesn't help to change the perspective of a society. I had to become visible, and that was scary. So I was thinking about it, and ultimately, everybody has one life to live. And if you are determined that there is a destination, that that's what you need to do, but you're too scared to do it because of somebody else's opinion, well, that's just really sad. Look at Elon Musk. How many people were laughing at him? And who is laughing now? So I decided I needed to become much more courageous. I needed to become more visible. And the other thing was, I felt because when you are at home, you tend to lose a lot of your business confidence and definitely your network. I wanted to show to professionals returning back to the paid workforce that it is possible to regain your confidence and to increase your network. So, well, I figured I'd give you an example what I did to become more visible on social media and how initially that was quite terrifying for me. I went onto LinkedIn and I had 57 connections from a long time ago. And so I was writing to people that I hadn't spoken to, former colleagues who were now vice presidents in 15 years. And I was terrified because I thought, well, what are they going to think? Here's some random person, maybe they don't even remember who I am. And so I was trembling, pressing this button to connect. And I was very positively surprised. Many of them connected, and they even wrote little messages. So I felt more confident. But then I felt, okay, I need to actually make some comments. I can't just connect to people. But then, well, if I comment on some LinkedIn post, I might be pigeonholed. People might feel, oh, she is on this opinion or that. And it wasn't until a person I follow wrote a really vulnerable post about his financial situation. And I felt, if he is able to write this, I'm gonna be able to write a couple of sentences. And so I did. And the beginning again, it was a little terrifying, but I got braver, and I got more confident about it. So then, the next step, actually having your own post done. And I was like, well, who's gonna listen, read this? What can I write about? And it was not until I found LinkedIn Local, which is a volunteer organization, and the goal is really to make people in real life get together to meet the human connection behind the social media profile. And it's a global organization or initiative. And so I was on the Zoom call because I wanted to become a co-host. That was my first Zoom call ever. Because, I've been out of the paid workforce before there were Zoom calls and Slack. And so I was like, I hope I can do it from a technical point of view, but it worked fine. And it was just such a welcoming community that I decided my first LinkedIn LinkedIn post is going to talk about the appreciation I have to be part of the LinkedIn Local co-host community. And so I did. And these are just lovely people. I actually met many of them in real life and communicated with them all across the world. And some of them started doing videos on LinkedIn. And they're like, Karin, you can do a video on LinkedIn. I'm like, oops. So it took a while, and that's why you have an accountability group. So I finally decided, okay, I'm going to do it. So I've written out my entire speech, what I was going to say. But not only that, I had my hair done. So then I drove around for about 30 minutes to find the best location where I was going to take this video. Okay, so I started. First take, second take, third take, 40 takes later. And I had finally found the most perfect video that I was going to publish. And even that, when I pressed that publishing button, it was scary. But if you haven't done it, I definitely recommend it. And I also recommend put as a hashtag first video or something like this, because people will realize how scary it is to actually do that. And they will be very, kind and write something to you. So after I had done all of this and I started feeling more confident on social media, I realized also that wasn't quite enough, because I want to change society's perspective. So I decided I needed to level up. And what did that mean in my case? I needed to speak more, because what I had done, I would go to a lot of local events, and in the Q&A session, I would put up my hand, and a couple of times people say, whoa, that was quite a statement, because after a while, I was like, I am here, and I'm trying to raise awareness about professionals returning back to the workforce, on and on and on. And so I felt that is a really good first step. But now I actually need to be standing here, participating in panel discussions and raising awareness and making people realize what an amazing but yet invisible part of the workforce these professionals are. The other thing I realized was when I was telling people here and in North America about the many methods that in Europe are being used already, like job sharing, they all thought, oh, this is really interesting, but how does it exactly work, and what are the benefits, etc., etc. So what I decided to do, instead of being like the person in between, I'm going to interview the leaders of the organizations that are already doing it, so that North American leaders can hear firsthand in English what already exists. So in about 2.5 weeks or so, I am starting my first interview for my podcast, Job Sharing and Beyond. So basically, concluding, I just wanted to go back to the beginning. I truly believe if you're passionate about something, you can do it. Thank you.